the most cursed objects in history, and everyone who owned them died. So, cursed objects, everyone's heard of them. Most people think it's nonsense, and honestly, they're probably right. But here's the thing, some of these stories have documented deaths, verified disasters, independent witnesses, real museums keeping real objects locked behind glass, just in case. So maybe it's all coincidence, maybe it's mass hysteria, or maybe, just maybe, some things are better left alone. Here are the most cursed objects in history, and what happened to the people stupid enough to own them. Let's start with the most famous one. The Hope Diamond is a 45-carat blue diamond, originally found in India. Legend says it was stolen from the statue of a Hindu goddess, which apparently really annoyed her. From there it passed through the hands of kings, merchants and jewelers, and almost every single one of them had their life fall apart afterwards. French merchant Jean-Baptiste Tavernier, who first brought it to Europe, supposedly died shortly after selling it, mauled by wild dogs in Russia, according to some accounts. King Louis XIV of France acquired it and died of gangrene. His great-great-great-grandson Louis XVI inherited it and was eventually executed by guillotine along with his wife Marie Antoinette. Financial ruin, imprisonment, execution. The pattern is difficult to ignore. The diamond disappeared during the French Revolution, resurfaced decades later in London, and eventually made its way to American socialite Evelyn Walsh McLean. She wore it as a party trick and laughed off the curse. Her son was killed in a car accident. Her daughter died of a drug overdose. Her husband went insane, was committed to a mental institution, and died there. She herself died in debt. Historians are quick to point out that the curse was probably invented over time to make the diamond more valuable and mysterious. That's likely true, but the tragedies themselves, the financial ruin, the executions, the violent deaths, those are historically documented. The pattern is real, even if the supernatural explanation isn't. The diamond now sits in the Smithsonian Institution in Washington, D.C., safely behind glass. Millions of visitors every year. Nobody has died owning it since it went to a museum. Probably a coincidence, probably. The Busby Stoop Chair. This one is a chair. Just a chair. Except Thomas Busby, a convicted murderer in early 18th century North Yorkshire, was said to have cursed it before being executed for killing his father-in-law. He declared that anyone who sat in it would meet an untimely death. As a final request before being hanged, he asked to eat his last meal in that chair. He was hanged for the murder, and his body was afterwards gibbeted at a crossroads near the pub, displayed in an iron cage as a warning to others. For a while, people dismissed it as folklore. Then the deaths started piling up. A builder who sat in it died in a car crash the same afternoon. 2 RAF pilots sat in it for a dare. Both died in crashes shortly after. A chimney sweep sat in it, found dead in a ditch hours later. A man who cleaned the pub sat in it during a break, dead within a year. A Canadian Air Force officer sat in it, killed in action. The reports kept coming, decade after decade, and nobody who looked into them found any obvious reason to dismiss them all. Are these deaths all verified beyond doubt? Some are better documented than others. Local records confirm several. Others rely on witness accounts. But there were enough of them that the pub owner eventually decided he didn't want it anymore. He didn't sell it. He didn't throw it away. He donated it to a museum and specifically requested it be placed somewhere nobody could sit in it. The chair now hangs on the wall at the Thirsk Museum, up high, completely out of reach. Visitors are expressly forbidden from sitting on it, not because anyone especially believes in the curse, just because they'd rather not find out. The Bassano Vase. The story goes that it was a silver vase crafted in 15th century Italy. Gifted to a young bride on the eve of her wedding, she died that same night, still holding it. The vase was passed down through the family for generations, each new owner dying suddenly and unexpectedly. Eventually the family had enough. They buried it. Centuries later, someone dug it up. They ignored a note allegedly found inside, reading, "Beware, This vase brings death, and died within 3 months, as did the next owner, and the one after that. According to the account, it passed through a pharmacist, a surgeon, and an archaeologist in quick succession, all dead within months of taking ownership. Police eventually seized it and tried to donate it to a museum. Several museums refused it outright. After that, it reportedly disappeared. Its current location is unknown. The Bassano vase is one of the more disputed entries on this list. There's very little verifiable paperwork behind the claims, and some researchers think the whole story is invented. But the fact that it vanished, rather than ending up safely in a display case somewhere, is either very suspicious or very convenient, depending on how you look at it. The Delhi Purple Sapphire. Here is a cursed object story that is properly documented, because the man who owned it wrote a long, detailed, panicked letter about it, and posted the stone to a museum, begging them to take it away from him. The Delhi Purple Sapphire, which is actually an amethyst and not a sapphire, but nobody ever renamed it, was looted from a temple in Kanpur, India, during the 1857 Indian Mutiny. It was brought back to England by a Bengal cavalryman named Colonel W. Ferris. His health immediately began to fail. His finances collapsed. His son inherited it. Same result. A family friend borrowed it briefly and attempted suicide twice. The stone then passed to a man named Edward Heron Allen, a scientist, writer, and polymath. Serious, educated, not prone to superstition. He gave it to a friend. The friend begged him to take it back. He threw it into the Regent's Canal. It was dredged up by a contractor and returned to him 3 months later. At that point, Heron Allen wrapped it in 7 bags, sealed it with magical symbols, placed it in a box with a handwritten letter calling it triply cursed, warning whoever opened it that they were taking their life in their hands, and sent it to the Natural History Museum in London in 1904. He added a note requesting it not be opened until 3 years after his death. He died in 1943. The museum opened it in the 1970s. No deaths were reported, but the stone, the box, and the original letter are all still there. You can read the letter yourself. The man was absolutely convinced this thing was destroying everyone who touched it, and he was not a fool. The Dybbuk box. The Dybbuk box is one of the most famous cursed objects in modern history. In 2001, a man named Kevin Manis listed a wine cabinet on eBay. He claimed it had belonged to a 103-year-old Polish Holocaust survivor who made her family promise never to open it. He opened it. Inside he found 2 pennies, a lock of hair, a dried rosebud, a candlestick, a small statue, and a wine goblet with the Hebrew word shalom engraved on it. Then things got strange. He described nightmares, always the same nightmare, a hag chasing him through a dark forest, unexplained smells of cat urine and jasmine, lights switching on and off by themselves. His mother suffered a stroke the same day he gave her the box as a gift and was left partially paralysed. He gave the box away. The new owner had the same experiences and sent it back. The box passed through several owners, all of whom reported eerily similar things. 6 people independently described the exact same nightmare without ever having spoken to each other. One owner, a museum director named Jason Haxton, developed a mysterious skin condition and began coughing up blood. He eventually sealed the box in a wooden case covered in Hebrew prayers. It ended up at Zach Bagans' Haunted Museum in Las Vegas, where it sits today in its own locked room. Visitors can choose to enter, or not. Bagans himself claimed to feel physically ill the first time he touched it. Kevin Manis later admitted he invented parts of the origin story, but the independent accounts of identical nightmares from multiple unconnected owners, that part is harder to explain away. The Crying Boy paintings. In the 1980s, a series of mass-produced paintings of crying children were sold across Britain. Millions of copies ended up in living rooms everywhere. Then firefighters started noticing something. House fires would destroy everything. Furniture, flooring, walls, everything. But the crying boy painting would survive, completely untouched, in the rubble, every single time. This wasn't one firefighter in one town. Reports came in from across the country. The Sun ran the story in 1985, after a firefighter in Yorkshire stated that in at least 10 separate fires he had personally attended, the painting was present and completely undamaged. His colleagues backed him up. Other fire crews across England said the same. The story caused a nationwide panic. People started burning their copies. The fires to destroy the paintings reportedly kept going out before the painting could be destroyed. A later investigation suggested a possible explanation. The string used to hang the paintings may have been treated with a fire-resistant varnish, causing them to fall face down early in a fire, protecting the surface. It's a reasonable theory. It doesn't fully explain why the pattern was so consistent, or why nobody noticed this during manufacturing. But it's something. The paintings were cheap, mass-produced prints, nothing scientifically special about the materials, and yet the pattern was reported consistently enough by enough independent professional people that it's very hard to simply dismiss. Look, some of these have solid documentation behind them. The crying boy, the Delhi purple sapphire, hard to dismiss entirely. Others, the Bassano vase barely exists on paper. The Dybbuk box origin was partially fabricated. The Hope Diamond curse was probably a marketing stunt. But here's the thing, skeptical explanations cover the mechanism, they don't cover the pattern. Unconnected people, different centuries, same experiences. Maybe that's just how humans work. We find patterns in noise, always have. Or maybe some objects hold something, some residue of whatever happened to them. I don't know. Nobody does. But I'd leave the vase in the ground where it belongs.